So the next thing that we're going to hear from is from Oleg, who is going to talk to us about Adass 2021, which will hopefully be physically in Cape Town, South Africa.
All right, so I'm coming to you live from an undisclosed location, except I think my fellow POC members have already disclosed everything. So the site of the next Adass I am now allowed to disclose is going to be Cape Town, South Africa. And here you see an aerial shot of central Cape Town. I can point out the conference venue to you. It's somewhere there. It's called the Westin. I'm not going to show you pictures of the hotel because it's a fairly generic, big, comfortable hotel. It's not about the hotel venue, it's about the surroundings. Here's another shot of Cape Town from a different angle. You can see the conference venue is right there, direct behind that mountain, that bit of mountain called Signal Hill, actually. And I'm going to anticipate some questions from you, and I'm going to answer them. So question number one is, why South Africa? And the answer to that is, why hasn't it happened before? Because South Africa actually has a massive astronomy presence. We've had the South African Large Telescope for a while already. It's a 10-meter class optical telescope. And now there's the new kid on the block, and that's the Meerkat radio telescope. And being a radio astronomer, I will focus on that a little bit more. Meerkat is a 64 13.5-meter dish interferometer with an 8-kilometer maximum baseline. It's the biggest radio telescope in the Southern Hemisphere and the best radio telescope in its band, period. And of course, the 800-pound, 800-kilogram gorilla is the future square kilometer array. This is clearly an artist's impression of the future square kilometer array. Those dishes don't exist yet, but someday it's going to look like this, and it's going to be next to Meerkat on the Meerkat site in South Africa. You might have seen this image before. This was the inaugural image of the full Meerkat, an image of the galactic center. You see these fantastic filamentary structures and supernova remnants and all sorts of fireworks. I prefer this image in this version because I have never seen a president stand in front of an astronomical image before, and suddenly we have two of them at once. Then there's some other Meerkat images for you. These are fairly recent. Some fantastic radio galaxy observations. I'm especially fond of this one because this is a radio galaxy that makes no sense at all. There's no way that lobes of a radio galaxy should be communicating like this, but clearly they are. And in the background, there's an image of the cosmos field, which shows you that if you're not interested in individual radio galaxies, but if you just want to count galaxies, then Meerkat is going to keep you very busy counting because every single dot here is a radio galaxy, essentially. Another important aspect of the South African program is the human capital development. So there's been a massive effort in building up research and student capacity. And this is a conference picture from last year's student conference. On average, we have around 100 postgrad students and about 30 postdocs in the pipeline at any given time. This is just in radio astronomy. And I think it's probably, in absolute numbers, it's probably one of the biggest radio astronomy programs in the world. I don't know, well, the US might be bigger. In per capita numbers, it's certainly a runaway first in terms of the number of radio astronomers per capita. You can see some of them are missing their bottom half here for some reason, but that's okay. All their intelligence is in the top half. So yeah, the footprint of astronomy and radio astronomy in particular is absolutely massive in South Africa. We have national legislation that has essentially established a radio astronomy reserve called astronomy advantage areas, and you see them schematically indicated here. In fact, the entire Northern Cape province, this larger outline, is a radio astronomy reserve of sorts. And then you have these designated central areas where the restrictions on activity that is allowed are tighter and tighter until you get to the actual core, which I'm showing here. And the blue dots here are the 64 Meerkat dishes. And then there's a hill and there's the processor building. This is kind of the tightest controlled area of them all. So we are one of the few countries with an actual radio astronomy reserve. Cape Town is down here. Next question you're going to have, isn't it far? Well, it's not as far as it used to be, And the answer is probably not even the furthest Adass that you have traveled to. Cape Town is served by direct flights from European hubs and from Middle East hubs. And for the rest of the world, you can come in via Johannesburg. You can see that on the map down here. Uh, question three is, will I get mugged, stabbed, or eaten? This isn't an astronomer, this is a sheep. This is a radio telescope, though. The answer is not very likely unless you'd really like to. I reckon Cape Town is not even the most dangerous city an Adass has been held in. As long as you exercise common sense, you will be, don't walk alone at night. Take an Uber, and you will probably find the Uber driver will know about the square kilometer array and will want to discuss your Adass stock with you. And as far as being eaten, you are far more likely to eat wonderful things because Cape Town has some of the finest and most affordable restaurants in the world. In fact, your top three risks being in Cape Town would be, number three would be falling off the mountain because you're so captivated by the views. And there's more than 100 ways up Table Mountain, which I'm sure you will find locals to show you. Your number two risk is drinking too much wine because there is nearly 1,000 wine farms within a 1 hour radius. And your number one risk is you probably won't want to leave. You'll be like Trump in the White House, well, with fewer lawsuits, hopefully. Will you see wild animals? The ones at the top, no. The ones at the bottom, yes. This kind of relates to the will I be eaten question. You will not be eaten because the largest predator in Cape Town is a caracal, and the caracal doesn't eat anything larger than a penguin, I think. You can see plenty of penguins, though. The animals on the top are well worth seeing as well. So if you come to South Africa, I would definitely advise you to book a side trip to Kruger Park and go on safari and see these wonderful animals in their natural habitat. Question four, what will the weather be like? It's springtime, so typically it's very pleasant weather, sunny and warm, but not too hot for hiking, unless a storm comes in. It's not known as the Cape of Storms for nothing, in which case we'll get horizontal rain. But when bad weather comes in, at least it blows through very quickly. So it should be very nice. Question five, what else can you do in Cape Town? Well, you can see you can do plenty of things, wine tasting not least. And if that's not enough for you, then you can do all of the above on horseback. Wine tasting on horseback is highly recommended, I find. There's a strange synergy by which your riding improves and the taste of the wine improves. I'm not sure how that works, but as the day goes on, you ride better and better. And of course, the million rand question, what about COVID? What about COVID? I've told you all these wonderful things about Cape Town. What's going to happen with the pandemic? Nobody knows. The dates that we've planned for Adass is the end of October. So 6 months before, at the end of April, we are going to have to take a decision on whether Adass is going to be virtual or physical. And of course, what's going to happen until April, nobody knows. We've had some very good news this week about a vaccine, but yeah, really, we're in uncharted territory. So in April, we'll know. If Adass is physical, then see above, see all the wonderful sites and the wine tasting you're going to do. If Adass is virtual, then it's probably going to be exactly as this week because Francesco and his team have done an absolutely wonderful job, and I don't think it could possibly be improved on. So I'm just going to give them another round of applause. The only addition we would make to a virtual Adass, we'd put in some more spectacular Zoom backgrounds. We will organize a virtual wine farm tour, and we'll add a Discord channel for tasting notes for those of us that will be in Cape Town. Because, given the wonderful job that the LOC has done this year, organizing the next virtual Adass is going to be literally no work at all. We can just take their solution out of the box. So that's great. We'll have lots of time left for wine tasting. Easiest job ever. But I sincerely hope it won't come to that and that we'll be able to actually welcome you in Cape Town physically at the end of 2021. So thanks very much, and I hope to see you here.